video games are for nerds. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about them. That's why you're listening to The Week in Gaming, the only gaming podcast that breaks down the last 7 days and tears games apart from the inside. Ugh. So forget your worries, open your ears, and join Simon Miller and a co-host for the entertainment chatter you need. Also, screw Dark Souls.
Hello and welcome to The Week in Gaming. My name is Simon Miller and you are about to listen to a video gaming podcast. We'll apologise a couple of days late again. It's my fault. I'm having another one of my nuts weeks where the days just turn into seconds and I can't quite understand where it all goes. However, we always find a way, and as always, I'm also joined by my friend Sam. How you doing today, Sam?
Yeah, doing good.
Good. Enjoying the crazy... Well, I know you've enjoyed this Week in Gaming. Because let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne. So, after a big delay, the Spyro, I mean, what am I allowed to call them? Remasters? Am I allowed to call them?
Reignited Trilogy would be the official name, but they're full remakes.
Okay, yeah. They're full remakes. Now, until this happened, I kind of laughed off the fact that we were doing all this with Spyro. Not in a bad way, just like, well, it's never really been my game. I'm sure there's a market for it. And little did I know, most people I actually have some kind of affiliation with that play video games are absolutely obsessed with Spyro. Now, I still don't understand why, but Sam, that is why you're here today, and I know that you've been playing, and I also know you were very excited about it. So let's start at the start. Why have you been so excited about it? Is it a nostalgia thing? And have these... It's 3 games, right? It's a trilogy, yeah. And have these 3 games lived up to the expectations you created for yourself in your head?
It's hard to say what, because I'm so attached. I can't unattach myself. This is one of the few games I can't be like stepping back and be like, okay. But I do think they actually do hold up. Like, I thought they hold up even before they were remade, and I think they're just really great platformers. You know, they don't complicate things. It's just, you know, the simple charge and flame attack, and it's all sort of just really good. I can't really explain it much more than that. But in terms of the remake, what they do is the content is exactly the same. Like with that Ratchet and Clank remake, that was it Insomniac that did that in 2016? But that Ratchet and Clank remake, that Ratchet and Clank remake, it remade it, but it sort of put a bit of their own spin on it and did a little bit different with it. But this, like the gem locations, the enemy locations, the bosses, the levels, are exactly the same, but just made to look more 2018, but with just some little tweaks, which won't mean much to you if I say them because they're very like nitty gritty stuff. But like it's essentially just making the same exact game, and like with Crash, it's the same exact game. There's no poetic license, except it just looks a lot better, runs a lot better, and because of obviously some things like rounded off ledge corners, it's a little bit tougher sometimes. But it's not the same difficulty difference with Crash as it was in Crash, really.
So it's essentially just a way... I'm not trying to be disparaging. I'm just trying to figure out exactly what the appeal is. It's essentially a way to play these games without having to go back to your old consoles, right?
Essentially, yeah, because it's no different in terms of any of the content. So if you play the old versions, you'll just get a worse-looking version of the Reignited Trilogy, basically.
But that's all you wanted, I'm guessing, right? Because I guess there is a huge... What's the word I'm looking for? But like a huge benefit. Not a huge benefit, that's not right, but there's a huge appeal for someone that remembers playing these games as a kid and now knows I can now actually re-experience them through not only through adults' eyes, but also looking at it a way that I'm used to seeing video games, right? Because sometimes when you go back to old games, Ocarina of Time is always my go-to. If you go and play that on the Nintendo 64 now, like, this game is bunk. Like, the frame rate is so bad, you can't do anything with it. And yet now, not only do you have the experience that you can rely on, and obviously the nostalgia that's going to back you up as well, but the fact that you're looking at it, and it looks like how you'd think a video game should look. I imagine that ticks a lot of boxes as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things, I think, because I replay them, I've replayed the originals regularly, and I still think they handle very well. I think with something like Banjo-Tooie, if you were to do a full remake of that, or Banjo-Kazooie, you'd have to like rejig the controls as well. But I think everything was so solid in Spyro 1, it held up so well, that it did have a remaster where it could only need a visual boost, and it sort of plays how you remember. There's obviously animation differences and stuff like that, but yeah, it's just a way of sort of bringing it up to date, and I think that's fine because some people might want a bit of change, but I think the point for a lot of us is that it's exactly what we remember, like you say, and that's great. I'm fine with that. I'm fine if they don't change the content.
Do you think there is enough here And obviously there's a bit of a airy-fairy question, but do you think there's enough here that somebody that had no affiliation with Spyro whatsoever could sit down, play it, and go, oh, actually, I get why people love this so much?
Absolutely. I think it's just as good a game as it was back in 98. I couldn't believe it was in 98 when I checked those dates. But the first game came out in 98 and the third game in 2000. And I think it's just as good here, just as relevant here, because you see platformers getting released all the time now, like that one with the fox on Xbox One or something like that. Super Lucky's Tale, yeah.
I'd much rather it was called the one with the fox.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of them don't have as much substance as other games that we've seen before, like the classics that you can rattle off, like Sonic, Banjo-Tooie, Spyro, and Crash and stuff like that. But yeah, it's I think it's just as relevant now, and the characters hold up, and the characters have been remodeled and look better because there's some sort of poetic license with like in one of the kangaroo characters, she was just a plain kangaroo in the original, and now they put a hairstyle on her and a new outfit and stuff. So they have done changes that are sort of intelligent changes, not just like, oh, we'll move that around for the hell of it, like this to sort of spice things up a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think it holds up just as well, and Crash clearly holds up just as well. So yeah, I'd argue anyone to go play it if they haven't already.
Well, I think the big question now is but obviously the big thing with Crash is it did so well. Does that now mean they've tapped into this new audience, which is going to allow them to make a brand new version of Crash? I know that's not been 100% confirmed, but it certainly seems like that is the case. Do you think that's going to happen with Spyro? And we're going to get to a years down the line and we're getting Spyro 5, 6, 7, 8? I don't know what version they're on.
I think so, because when we got these sequels like Enter the Dragonfly and stuff, everyone's a bit like back in the day, it was a bit like, oh, it's not the same though, is it? Whereas I think if you just keep that, because there's an audience for these PS1 classics, there's an audience for these classic style of platformers. They don't need any bells and whistles. They just need if you just did the same sort of a certain number of hub worlds, certain number of levels, then you go on. Then there's no reason why it can't, because everyone likes the gameplay on both Crash and Spyro. All you really need to do is get some good levels going and the same level of quality for characters as well. And there's every reason why I'd play another one. I'm open for another one. Obviously, you get people like, wow, why are you making another one? It's already done. But I think, yeah, just why not? I'd be happy for more Spyro, because I have to admit, when I played them, because I played them to death and I know them so well, it was a case of like, okay, right, it's not as bombastic as I thought it would be, because they've done such a good job of remaking the exact same content. Whereas when I played like Ratchet and Clank 2016, because obviously they'd changed so much, I was seeing what they'd done differently with each of the areas.
Yeah.
But as I was going through, I was like, okay, I know where this challenge is, I know where this egg is, I know how to get there. And I was like, okay, cool, right, this is exactly the same, which is great. But it wasn't as like, wow, it was more like, good. I'm glad.
Yeah, satisfying.
Yeah.
No, I can understand that. Like, I've always been a fan of remasters. Like, I like them. I don't have any, even when it's only a minor remaster to allow you to play an Xbox 360 game on your Xbox One. I've got no problem with it, because you don't have to buy it. And I know a lot of people go, oh, they've wasted their money. They could have put it on this. All right, well, they didn't. So, it's not the biggest idea, worst idea in the world. I like them. Again, hearing sort of how excited, someone like your good self gets about a game like Spyro, which is something I've never... I mean, to be honest, my opinion of it always, wrongfully, I'm not saying it must be a kid game, right? Because I didn't play it, and you see a purple dinosaur, so I go, okay, it's a kid game. It's just, and that's it. I don't go further than that. I don't read into it, because it just never came up in my sphere of influence. So that's why I think it's so good, and I still don't really understand why people have such a problem. I don't understand... Well, no, because I disagree with that, actually. I was about to say something like a new game doing it. But, Rockstar did it with GTA 5, and everybody flipping loved it. They loved it when it came to PS4 and first person and, tried all these new things. I don't have a problem with any of them. I really don't. No matter what they're doing, I don't have a problem with any kind of remaster. If it taps into somebody's nostalgia and somebody thinks it's worth 30, 40, 50 quid to go back to that, then great. If it's taken away from other projects, well, I'm going to assume that other project probably didn't have enough merit to begin with, or at least not enough belief in it for somebody to see it through. I'm all right with it. I really am. I got no problems with them whatsoever.
Yeah, and the audio is really good as well. I should probably say a word about that, because this is a fun fact for you. But the drummer from The Police did the original score for all 3 games.
That's ridiculous. I mean, what?
Stuart Copeland, which is just a total random fact. But yeah, he did the main theme for this one, but then someone else from the developer remixed all of the original tracks from the original 3 games. So you've got like remix tracks for all 3 games here, but you can also switch to the original soundtracks as well. So yeah, that's all really good. So yeah, it's a really intelligent way of doing a remaster in terms of touching up everything that needs to be touched up. But I think unless you're doing something where it's a reimagining, like the Ratchet and Clank, the one I talked about, you don't need to change anything. There's no need to be shifting things around for the sake of it.
Yeah.
So I think they've done this is probably one of the best jobs of a remaster I've seen, because obviously I know the games very well and I know what they have and haven't changed, and it seems to be just really intelligent. Like if they'd have changed, like, oh, this boss is different now, it's like people would be like, why have you done that? But they've just made it all look a little bit fresher. They made it play a little bit nicer, and obviously because of the colours in 2018 look a lot brighter than in 1998.
Yeah, which must help that kind of aesthetic. Yeah, I can imagine it would do. I absolutely can imagine it would do. Well, there we go. I mean, I don't think you're saying things that other people aren't saying, if that makes sense. I've seen nothing but love for this game.
Yeah, obviously I'm a fanboy, but like I think it is actually a real good job.
But also it's meant for you. Like a remaster is meant for the movie. Oh, you're a fan. Well, yeah, who do you think this is made for? I mean, I think the worst sort of the worst criticism I've seen is that it feels too much like an old game. And I find that a bizarre criticism too, because I'm like, well, it is an old game. So, I know a lot of people moaning about the camera, and I was like, well, it is a game from 20 years ago, whatever it was. They can't change everything. I think, like you said, you've got to keep some of the original foundations in place, otherwise you lose it entirely.
Yeah, in fairness, I never had a problem with the camera in the first game, and people complained about that, so maybe I'm just immune to it. Yeah. Who knows?
I have seen a lot of people saying, like you mentioned as well, that it's just a good game in its own right. So I'll be absolutely intrigued to see how it latches on to a brand new community, if people get it, if Spyro is a quote-unquote cool enough character to actually make people react. I think it's going to be interesting. And if nothing else, I like hearing people be happy about video games. And this seems to be one of those that it just makes everybody so happy. Everyone's just so pleased that it's finally come out.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it taps into that sort of vein of like 20 years ago, because when people like myself were like, I grew up, Spyro 2 was the first game I ever remember buying from Woolworths.
Yeah.
And like just going back to that is just, it's something that's like you can't really moan about it, because there's so much jaded discourse about games now. When you just go back and experience something simple from like the PlayStation 1 era, when everything seemed fine in the world, it's a lovely thing.
No, I agree. Like, someone got in touch with me on Twitter. We had a little chat. Not saying disparagingly, like absolutely entitled to your own opinion, but they seemed surprised last week when we were talking about Red Dead, as if it was like the most impenetrable game ever. And I certainly didn't mean it to come across like that, but I do think it is a little bit too impenetrable for those reasons you've just said. Sometimes I want to sit down with that experience. That's exactly what I'm looking for. And while there's nothing at Red Dead that you couldn't learn or couldn't get your head around, again, maybe that's the beauty of old games, right? You couldn't do that much, so you had to keep them simplified. Hey, look, everyone's moaning about the update for Fallout at the moment, right? Well, you didn't have that back on the SNES or the PlayStation or anything like that. It was all pretty much quick and there as soon as you bought the disc. So things change, and you either adapt or you don't. That's, break it right down.
Yeah.
But it is out. I think it's doing really well. I'll be intrigued to see how it sort of fights, given that Red Dead is still top of the charts for the third week running and seems to give people a run for their money. So that will be really interesting. And the other big game that came out this week was, of course, Hitman 2.
Yes.
Sam and I were meant to come together for an event on Thursday, which I couldn't get to because I got drowning in work, because that's my life summed up, and I apologise for that. And I also apologise to the people that invited me that I had to turn down. Lovely man that I am. But again, I have heard, because I like the original Hitman. We've talked about this, as in the original new version of the Hitman. I like the original one
2016.
as well. Yeah, and all I've heard is that game, but you get the entire season straight up, which was one of the criticisms before. It's even better, there's even more to do, and it's even more refined.
Yeah, I've heard the story is very strange. I've heard the story is incredibly strange, but I've not actually experienced it myself.
Well, now I'm even more excited. Strange as in what doesn't make sense, or strange as in we're going into sort of...
People have been comparing to Metal Gear.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Still don't know what's going on in Metal Gear. To this day, I've got no clue. Oh, no. Well, look, Metal Gear is one of the best games ever to some people.
Yeah.
So, but I know that I'm trying to find... I had brought up... I saw a bunch of reviews, and it was just... There it is. And it was just... Yeah, people are just genuinely... I mean, I'm not saying you did like a massive Metacritic score or like a average score or anything like that, but the people that loved it said they really love it. And they said the way you're able to create your own stories and some of the journeys you'll go on that you won't actually ever expect to take, even when you kind of start doing it and you know all the parameters. It's just incredible. It feels it's that thing where we mentioned how Red Dead Redemption feels like the most open world ever. And it's almost like it presents an open world in its truest sense. I think Hitman, amazingly, only a couple of weeks later, has carried that on. It's almost like Curb Your Enthusiasm. Curb Your Enthusiasm, there's no script. You just have there's dialogue, I should say. You have a script of where we want to go, but otherwise you just make your way there instinctively. And that kind of sounds like what IO's done with Hitman. It's like, okay, we want you to kill this dude, and we want you to do it using X, Y, and Z, but how you do all of that, we don't care. And the amount of parameters I haven't played this secondhand information, but the amount of parameters they put in there to actually allow you to do that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. I've played the Miami level, the racetrack level.
Yeah.
And that is just packed. Like the amount of crowd on screen is just crazy, and that just adds to the whole like experience, because you have to use that to your advantage. Not in a like you hide in groups like in Assassin's Creed, but like just you go into like the mess, the swarm of people, and then you go out of it, and then you just like you're using a fish or something, and then you get a wrench, and then you get a chef's outfit. It's all the same, but just sort of toned up a little from the first game, and that's just great, because the first game was one of the best sandboxes ever made. It's so dense. It's not big, it's just dense.
Yeah, exactly. And the word that keeps coming, or the phrase that keeps coming up every time I look for a review is wonderfully crafted. So many people said that, and I think that sums it up wonderfully, because you're right, it doesn't try to blow your mind with content. It's just about the freedom that you have, and how it will try its very best to never ever hold you back. And I think that's genuinely, I just think it sounds like a game I absolutely want to play, and I definitely think it was the much better idea to allow you to have the whole game before. I don't think people like drip content. The episodic model, I think, didn't work. I think we've kind of established that even for something like Telltale, before everything that happened, which was a story-driven franchise, people just wanted to binge it, right? They want to Netflix binge it. That's what people want to do. So I'm glad they've seen sense. I hope this one does better. I hope Warner Brothers gets behind it. And yeah, I just hope I want the game to be a success. I like everybody at OO, and I like the concept. I think it's got a lot of love and passion in it.
I think it's just a lesson for everyone. Like, sandbox doesn't have to mean open world. Yep. You can make it really tight, but just make everything meaningful. Like the levels in Dishonored, for example. Just make everything really rich and everything really nice to explore, rather than just miles of open desert, because bigger means better. Yeah. Like, I think Hitman is just a perfect example of that.
I agree. I think it deserves a lot more. No one's really shouting about it in terms of the big games, and they really should.
Hitman really flies under the radar. I'm not really sure why, because there was a time when it was like one of the biggest franchises, and it sort of seems to be like, okay, Hitman's out. Whereas people can be like, yeah, Hitman, yeah.
And also the concept should appeal to every games love that. Here's a big gun, go kill someone under the radar. All right, who knows, man. Obviously, we also have Fallout 76, which came out this week. As you can see, we're building towards the end of the year.
Yes.
Again, we've mentioned the massive update. That's what most people have been talking about. I've already admitted it's unlikely I were going to go in. Sam, have you gone in properly, or are you still just mucking around with the beta? Well, were you mucking around with the beta?
Well, no, because my copy arrived from Amazon today.
Right, okay, so that
special
definitely
edition,
didn't happen.
which is like, the stats you get, the SPECIAL.
Yeah.
And then I've got some pins with it and stuff, but I've just put it in, like, I can see my PS4 right now, and it's got the update downloading, so I've not been able to get into it. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it. Whenever the update finishes.
I can imagine, especially now, because it's out in the wild properly, right? So now you can actually start to experiment and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll get a more real sense of the game in the beta, because the beta was just a stress test. It's not representative. So now it's going to be the real test of whether it's good.
Yeah. So, and I'll genuinely be intrigued. And I think as well, from a week in gaming this point of view, you've been so kind to it. That's the wrong word, but you've been so benefit of the doubt compared to some people that I've seen, that if it does actually start to piss you off, I'll believe you. Because it's like, Sam really did want to like this, and he went all out when it comes to the beta. So if we can't do it in the retail release, then there must be, I'm not saying there's something wrong, but there must be issues there that aren't, letting it win over in the way people would like. So,
yeah. It'll be interesting though to see how it performs as well, because I'm not sure, because there's a very vocal minority being like, I hate this is going to be a disaster. But from what I've heard, it's been not always amazingly positive, but positive. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes.
Absolutely. And if you're out there in the big wide world listening to this right now, do get in touch and let us know, because I really do think it's going to be a polarizing game, much like the Elder Scrolls Online was. The Elder Scrolls Online actually today has found a pretty good niche community that keeps it thriving. But I would imagine Bethesda would like more from Fallout. I don't know necessarily whether they see Fallout as bigger than the Elder Scrolls, but I think it has a more wide range appeal. I don't know if I mean that. That's kind of what I think, though. I don't know. We'll find out. The other thing I realised we should talk about that we actually didn't mention, Sam and I usually go through it and do some bullet points, but I think it absolutely should be mentioned. I think I'd be amiss if I didn't. Is obviously Stan Lee passed away this week too.
Yes.
95 years old. I don't think you can argue he didn't have quite a heavy influence on video games, given that so many people working in video games were inspired by Marvel Comics. And obviously, only a few months ago, we were seeing him with that pretty... again, it didn't mean much to me, because I was never a big Spider-Man fan, but I certainly saw the reaction online, his cameo in the Spider-Man video games. People loved it. Obviously, the master of cameos for the last 20 years or whatever it was, probably longer if we actually look into it. You know, he touched a lot of people's lives, and I can completely understand the outpouring of love. There's obviously always the spin. He had a great life. He was 95 years old, changed the world in many ways, and not many of us can say that. But again, I thought it'd be rude to fly through a podcast about gaming and, you know, slightly entertaining and not mention the passing of someone I think many people consider a legend.
Yeah, exactly. And I think someone told me he's recorded even like a real big chunk of footage for future cameos, which should be interesting if that's true, because we'll see him in a lot more films. I
mean, that's crazy. That's
if
crazy.
It's true.
Well, I imagine it would be true, though. I mean, it's crazy because... not to have that foresight. I mean, I think that's quite a pragmatic way to look at the life. It must be kind of scary as well, right? Cause it's
I guess.
Because it's just like... I know I'm going to die, but I want to get these cameos in. I don't know. That just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, shout out to Stan Lee, and yeah, we've all got our stories. Again, I was more of a DC guy than a Marvel guy. Not saying that to be a dick. It's just I don't want to come across like something I'm not. However, let's not pretend that we don't understand how important Sam Lee was to proceedings. Right, Microsoft also had I call it an event. I'm not going to call it a big event, but they did have some certain tidbits I think we should talk about. The most... I don't say interesting one to me. I know it depends on what kind of side of the fence you fall on. Like we talk about the Microsoft, whatever we'll call it, Xbox 3 for now, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. I never expected. Well, I guess the insinuation has always been: are we getting to that period now where we're not getting hard consoles anymore? It's all going to be streaming, and you just need a box like Netflix or whatever. Yeah. I never actually thought we were getting there here. I don't think the internet is fast enough. I think when 5G arrives next year, that may start changing things around because it's absolutely crazy. It depends how you can start tying that in with video games. But Phil Spencer, obviously, who is the leader of Xbox, basically, for lack of a better term, basically came out and said he's very excited for the new Xbox console, and he doesn't think that in terms of what we know the console to be is going anywhere. It's not really news, but it is, I guess, because we're now starting to talk about the next generation of consoles, which are coming up. I'd imagine at E3 next year, we probably get our first look at them, maybe even to come out in 2020. Maybe that's being a bit too sort of forward. But apparently it's in the works. It's codenamed Scarlet. It was one of those news things. I get why people ran it, but I don't think we are at the stage where what we know to be a video game console is going away.
No, I don't think so either. I think it's just so ingrained that that's how we deliver our stuff. And like you say, streaming can't be the sole basis for anything right now with the internet in the state it is across so much of the US, UK, and everywhere, basically. Well,
yeah, exactly. And also... I still feel like I think the big question for me is, what do you even do with a PS5 and Xbox 3? Like, I don't know. I absolutely have no idea. Aside from graphics and better animation, I don't think that is where we're going to be focusing. I mean, look at Red Dead, right? Like, I understand that costs millions and millions of dollars, but clearly the power we have isn't an issue in terms of holding video games back. Now, yeah, you could argue that it's more of a software forward thing, but more of the technologies that keep coming up, such as streaming, or how can we take advantage of downloading games quicker or anything like that. And I presume we'll have more of that in the next wave. But yeah, I just whatever the next consoles are, I think they're going to be very similar to what we've got now. Probably still with an emphasis on 4K. I know 4K hasn't really blown up like HD did, but it was never going to. But it also hasn't faded off, which happened to a lot of people as well. So I imagine it's kind of sits somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, no, it'll be interesting to see what they do, because I think, video games look good and they run well right now. It's just interesting to see what that next step will be, because PS4 obviously had the higher performance and like 4K and stuff with the Xbox One X and PS4 Pro. But what that next step is, that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that I don't think they say these things, they're not off the cuff. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not. he said it now for a reason. If he didn't want to talk about it, he wouldn't have talked about it. So I would assume this is where we start building up to the new wave of consoles. And do you know what as well? I don't even need it right now. I'm fine with my PlayStation and my Xbox as they are. I know it's a business and they need to make money, but I really don't feel the need. I really, really don't. I'd be happy to stick with these for another 3-4 years. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah, I'd definitely be happy. As long as people are playing them and I could still play what I want to with who I want to, then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They also announced that Crackdown 3, releases in February 15, 2019. Hands up if you believe that, or hands up if you're a bit skeptical. I am a bit skeptical. I'm just going to say. I can't say that word today. Anyway, screw it. I mean, it's been delayed so many times. I don't even know who wants to play Crackdown 3. I'm not trying to be a dickhead. I'm sure there's people out there. I know there's a huge fan base for Crackdown. But again, it's one of those things I never hear anybody talking about. I don't know. It's one of those games I feel like Microsoft released because let's face it, their Q4 this year has been abysmal. They haven't released anything of any kind of note, especially when you think this year Sony pushed out God of War and Spider-Man. I'm sure there's something else that I'm not even thinking of that they threw out there. Microsoft didn't have anything. And when they announced this 2 years ago, wherever it was, it did feel like, what kind of franchise do we have that we can take advantage of? And somebody said, well, we've got Crackdown. So it's like, okay, well, let's just put that into development. And I don't know, to me, it just doesn't feel like a game that I need. I don't know, maybe I'm being too... I'm not looking at it from a fan's point of view, which I completely understand. If you are a fan, you'd be like, no. But yeah, I'm not massively fussed.
Yeah, I don't know any fans really. Every time people talk about it, it's like they're talking about it because it's the Crackdown 3 situation, that game that keeps getting delayed. They're talking about that mess of the Crackdown 3 development. No one ever talks about it like, oh, I'm really buzzed for Crackdown 3. Like, I've never heard anyone say that, oh, I'm really looking forward to Crackdown 3. It's the same with sort of Shenmue 3 in a sense. You sort of know of it because of its infamy rather than its actual people looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's almost like if you own an Xbox and you want it to come out just to say you finally got something. Because again, what games does the Xbox One have coming up? What do they have?
Coming up? Halo Infinite and Gears 5, and that's about it, I think.
Is that next year?
But we don't know when they're coming.
I don't think they're next year. I'm going to type it in. Xbox One games 2019. What does Google think? Anthem. Oh, I mean, it's multi-platform anyway, but Anthem. Oh my gosh, I hate that game. I don't know why. I mean, yeah, Ori and the Will of the Wisp, whatever it's called, 2, Gears 5. You're right, you said that. And then yeah, they just need video games. Such a strange place at the moment, Microsoft. I don't understand. They were smashing with the Xbox 360, and then I don't know. Well,
they have bought like every studio on Earth at the moment, so they'll be working on some stuff, I guess.
Well, that's right. They also bought. There's the other big news that came out from it. They bought Obsidian and In Exile. So obviously a focus on old school RPG makers. I mean, I like Obsidian. I think maybe Obsidian's biggest problem was they never really got the budgets they needed to sort of, because their games were already really good, Obsidian, but yeah, they were always kind of struggling with technical aspects and things like that.
So it'll be interesting to see what they come up with all of these studios, because there's the Hellblade, Ninja Theory as well. So seeing what they do is really going to be really interesting.
Yeah, no, it is. But I think you're right. It certainly feels a bit like, wait, we don't have any games. Let's just go buy developers, and we can just throw out there instead. Yeah. Oh dear, it's strange. And with the two PlayStation 4 news, PUBG finally got announced to the PS4. I think it comes out December the 7th. I think
something like that.
So if you've been waiting for that, that's coming.
I really think that's way too little too late, to be honest.
Well, what's it going to do? Who's going to play that now? I just can't imagine. If you were into those kinds of games and your Call of Duty was coming out with their own battle royale. We talked about this again, but just as a quick one. I imagine you've already bought that and you probably like it. And if you're that guy, surely you're playing PUBG on either your Xbox or your PC already. Surely. It's very rare. The only kind of console game, non-console games you get are people that just play PC, so they don't give a fuck about PUBG on PS4. They're already playing it on PC. And if you're not that person, you're either an Xbox One or a PS4 guy. You've already got an Xbox One. And I think if you're a PS4 guy by this stage, you would have just gone and played it on PC. You just would have gone, like, how can I play this? I'm going to go play it. Or you would have bought an Xbox for this experience.
Yeah.
I
think the attitude. I went to my friend who I play Fortnite and Blackout, that's the one, Blackout with. And I said to him, oh, PUBG's coming out on PS4. And he was like, oh, yeah, you can give that a go. And I was like, oh, it's paid for, you know. And he was like, oh, let's not worry, then we've got Blackout and Fortnite. And I was like, that's what a lot of people are going to be thinking.
Yeah, that's especially because Fortnite is flipping free. And I don't know. I don't want to say it's not free, is it? On PlayStation 4, you got to pay, correct?
Fortnite?
No, PUBG on PS4 is a paid.
Oh, PUBG is going to be paid, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just, and also you absolutely know that Epic aren't stupid. They'll probably make sure that they release something day and date that tricks people away. Oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It all seems very strange to me, but hey, I'm not a Battle Royale guy, so what do I know? Another piece of information is that Spider-Man DLC has been announced. There was a trailer. Hammerhead is in it. Sam, I'm going to imagine that means more to you than it does to me.
It doesn't. I don't know who Hammerhead is.
Right, there we go. But that is coming out very, very soon. Pretty good. Pretty good Spider-Man all in all. Like, it sold a lot of copies. Everybody loved it. Universally put a smile on people's faces. I actually think Spider-Man did very well. And it sounds like they're handling their DLC model sort of without knocking too many boats either.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't played the first of the DLCs, but I'm going to wait till all three of those, because it's all three in the same story. So I'm going to wait till all of them come out and then play it all in one. That
makes sense. And also the Game Awards 2018, which used to be known as the TGAs, are December, I believe. At least they're very, very soon. So, Sam, what I wanted to do is I just wanted to run through. Everyone was moaning about it, so I thought, hey, we can moan about it too. Now, we're not going to go through every single one because there are loads of characters. It's one of those awards ceremonies. Like, why have you got so many characters? I'm going to find one of the weird ones, such as, and I understand why you're doing this. I get it. I understand you want to tick every box you can. But stuff like favourite moment of 2017, I think you can scrap that one. Just a guess. I don't think we need it. But also, I will say, have you seen these? Have you seen what the nominations are?
I haven't, no.
There's stuff like the Game Awards orchestra performance. It's like, come on, guys, dump that one. Anyway, let's focus on what people care about. The main one is Game of the Year.
Yep.
God
of War and Red Dead, I assume.
Yes. I mean, it's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, Celeste, God of War, Marvel Spider-Man, Monster Hunter World, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah.
Now, how Assassin's Creed Odyssey got in there, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a dick, but look, if we go through them one by one, I mean, I don't know much about Celeste. I really don't. Do you know much about it before I just ignore it entirely?
No, I know that it's sort of praised by indie lovers.
Okay,
but I don't know a lot.
Okay, well that's perfect then. So it had a following, right? There's a reason for it to be there. God of War obviously came and rewrote a franchise. Marvel Spider-Man we just talked about. Monster Hunter World, again, not for me, but I certainly saw at the time when it came out, there was a lot of love for that game. A lot of love. And Red Dead Redemption 2, again, regardless of what you think of it, is a masterpiece in many ways.
Yeah.
And then there's Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I've not heard one person say that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the best Assassin's Creed game. No. So why is it in the game? And there must be something else that's come out of this year that Forza Horizon 4 should be in that list. Forza Horizon 4 and Mario Tennis. Where is Mario Tennis in my Game of the Year? It's unbelievable.
And Spyro? No, that's not.
Actually, best remakes in there. What would you pick out of those 6?
Well, for Game of the Year?
Yeah, I mean, it's really unfair because we haven't played some, but you can only go on the... Someone get mad now. You shouldn't be doing it, but we are, so deal with it.
I'd say probably Red Dead because of just the weight of it and the fact that everyone's like, yes, it's a little slow, but it matched the weight that it had.
I agree. I think it's a seminal game. Games that come along and that will change other people, like GTA did back in the day. I think there's so many ideas in there that people that are making open worlds will now take on for better or worse, because that's somehow what Rockstar do all the time. This one, I want to do this one as well because this one spoke more to you. I'm a massive RPG fan, and I looked in their best role-playing game. I played one. I was like, what's happened to me? Like Dragon Quest XI, Monster Hunter World, Ni no Kuni 2, Octopath Traveler, Pillars of Eternity 2, Deadfire. I have played Octopath Traveler, and then I played it for 2 hours, and I was like, it's too hard. I don't want to play it anymore.
Yeah, I think Ni no Kuni 2 would win that vote.
I knew you were going to say. How are these? They're not voted for by the public, are they?
I have no idea about the Game Awards, actually.
No, I'm looking now. I've been here, blah, 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 blah. No, I don't know how they're voted for. There's a couple of other ones I wanted to go that makes me... best ongoing game. I mean, that's the kind of world we live in now. Destiny 2, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, Overwatch, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six. I mean, to me, it's got...
I was hoping Rainbow Six would be in there, actually. I think that should win.
Oh, it's under the radar, that game. The community that's been put up about the game is amazing. They are so hardcore and they are so passionate about it. Like, they're desperate for new content all the time, and I know there's been some problems with with some of the people being just bigots and things like that. But in terms of the actual structure, people love that game. They say it gets better with every update.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's one of those, like, it's such a strong tactical shooter that, yeah, I'm a big fan of it. Not that good at it, and it's quite intimidating for newbies, but definitely a really good ongoing game. But then again, you can't argue against Fortnite, really. Fortnite has got to be probably the winner of that category.
Yeah, I think so. I think Fortnite has made such a dent on the world that I think it probably does deserve to win some awards.
And if you look at the state it was in this time last year and how much has changed and what has moved around and what has been added and what has been taken away, ongoing game, they have done a whole lot regularly to that game, and that is commendable. No matter what your thoughts are on Fortnite, they have worked their arse off to deliver regular content and assess its quality throughout the year.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think that is I mean, I'm not saying their model is perfect, and I know a lot of people have problems with it, and each to their own. But in terms of the money they're making and their dedication to that game, I think it's actually quite well balanced. They update it once a week, and sometimes it's like glaring changes. You know, they will add stuff that I imagine took a long time to do. It's almost like they're the South Park of video game developers. I think I've said that before. But the way they kind of get to the end of the week and then go, right, we need to, what can we do to make sure people keep playing? And the fact they keep their audience as well. Like, that was the big thing in 2018, right? How do we stop people from trading in games? Well, you do what Fortnite did.
It's crazy, and they change the meta as well each time, because like I left it for 2 weeks and then came back and there was a new bit on the map and then there's balloons everywhere and it was like, oh my lord, like this is just a totally new way to play every time.
Are you still playing it?
Not really. I dip in and out, but it's hard to dip in and out because it's like, oh, there's 5 new places on the map and there's new weapons and there's zombies on the map now, and it's like, well, oh my god.
No, it's true.
It's so hard to keep up as a casual fan.
It is, but fair play to them. I mean, they really, they just, no matter what you think of it, they're not taking it lightly, I guess is the best way to put it.
They've not got their foot off the gas.
Yeah, exactly. They're absolutely trying to do their best for what that game is, and I'll be intrigued to see where we are in a year. I think it's a very interesting time for Battle Royale games. You know, are they going to have the longevity of something like Call of Duty? Are they, this generation's rhythm action games? I don't know. I certainly know they're not for me, and that's all I know. But we'll have to wait and see. Where it goes from there. But yeah, I genuinely think that I would probably give it to Fortnite. But then Rainbow Six does impress me as well because. Yeah, I've never played it. I don't think it's a game for me, but I know, again, the sheer love for it it's just crazy. I didn't even know so much love could even exist. There you go. The other thing I wanted to talk about, did you see all the stuff with Smash Brothers and the trailer that Nintendo released? I wanted your opinion on the conspiracy theory.
Trailer.
Now, why do you think they did it? Because obviously now people
did it so people could dub it over.
Exactly, right. But if they did do that, isn't that just absolutely incredible in terms of a marketing ploy? Like, I just, because it has absolutely worked. I've seen that trailer more than I ever would have watched it before, because I don't care about Smash Brothers. But I've seen it with, obviously, Queen behind it, and the Gladiators theme tune, and all manners of stuff. Like, it's always become a meme in many ways. I think Nintendo absolutely smashed that.
It's like expert marketing. Like, if you have anything that will be shared socially, like, it's crazy, because obviously the Don't Stop Me Now one was the popular one. There's so much more, and it's just works so well because all they did was provided like no music at all and just the bass audio, like strikes and stuff. And every song you put with it works perfectly.
Someone's got to have done Guile's theme by now, right? That must be out there.
Maybe.
I'm going to look. I think I want to talk about as well. Did you see the Detective Pokemon trailer?
I didn't. I didn't really want to.
Now, tell me why. That's a nice place to start this conversation. Why didn't you want to see it?
Just doesn't look very good.
Well, yeah,
it's not like it looks bad as such. Just it doesn't interest me. It's more the best way to say that.
Yeah, but I don't understand what this movie is. Now, I'm not the biggest Pokemon fan in the world. I understand what Pokemon is, though. So I can't figure out who made this. I mean that. I'm not joking around either. Who made this? Because I watched it, because everyone kept tweeting me, "Millie, you should watch this, you should watch this." I mean, must known that it's so crazy that I wasn't going to get it. Because it's got Ryan Reynolds playing Pikachu, who is alive, and only one kid can hear what he can say, and everybody else thinks he's just saying Pika Pika.
Yeah.
But who is Detective Pikachu? Why is he not just Pikachu? Who is what is this offshoot that is a detective? I don't understand it.
Yeah. That's all yeah.
But I need more, Sam. I can't handle this bizarre I just can't. I watched it twice because I was like, because at first I thought, okay, maybe it's a weird offshoot in Japan, like a video game that I don't know about. But it just seems to be some people sat down one day and went, right, what can we do to continue the Pokemon? Like, how can we get into the cinema? And someone said, well, Ryan Reynolds could play a detective version of Pikachu. And no one actually thought that wasn't a good idea.
Yep. I can't answer.
I don't get it. I would implore everybody to go and watch it. I was going to do a reaction at one point on my video up on my YouTube channel, but I couldn't get it working on OBS. So no, I just want to leave this be. I want to leave this be, and I want to walk on to whatever may be next in this. Absolutely, I mean, genuinely one of the weirdest things I have ever seen, and I've certainly seen. It's got, I don't know, is it a Hugglepuff? Is that what they're called? I mean, I'll type it in quickly. Basically, everyone was mad about it because it was too fluffy. And I think it's a Hufflepuff. Is it? No, it's not Hufflepuff. That's a Harry Potter thing. I don't know. It was a big ball. And all I know about the controversy that day was it was it was too fluffy. So weird. Absolutely so weird.
It just shows the strength of your franchise, and you could be like, listen, Pikachu's going to be detective. Not many people can hear him. Only one boy can hear him, and it's Ryan Reynolds, and everyone's like, yes, that would be sick. I don't understand it really, but like I'm all open for it to be good. I'll give it a go. It sounds pretty banter.
Well, if I ever see that movie, I think I may keel over and die, because my word, it's the strangest thing ever. Otherwise, right, just before we wrap up as well, I put a tweet out just asking for some questions, because we do that every now and then, and I thought that it would be fun. And you're right. And we may have answered some of these before, but I can never remember. But I like this one straight away because I'm going to try and pronounce this. Simru Nerd Cave Excelsior, which I think he must have had it for Stan Lee, said, which character do you usually play in Mario Kart? I love that question. I was like, out of context, what the hell does that mean? But in the magical world of video games, I always use Koopa Trooper. And I've used Koopa Trooper since the SNES, which is why whenever they take him out, I get really upset. He went away for a while, but then he came back.
I'm always Luigi, personally.
Is it because he's well-rounded?
Yeah, it's because you don't want to commit to being too light and then you get boshed around a lot. But you don't commit to being too heavy and then slow yourself down. So you sort of got the best chance of success if you just sort of stay safe. With Luigi is unless you go Mario, which is a bit too vanilla. Like you just spice up a little bit with Luigi, and that's where I sit on that.
I don't think I've ever used Luigi.
He is very vanilla. It's very boring.
I always feel like he's going to be a bit wibbly. I don't know what that means. That's just how I kind of feel. I just saw a good one and now I've lost it. There we go. Anthony Starsholl, I think it's pronounced it. What's your take on the future of single-player games? I don't understand the controversy about this anymore. Like, we had Spider-Man came out, smashed it. God of War came out, smashed it. Red Dead Redemption came out, smashed it. Who is coming up with this idea that single-player games are dying? I don't see that from the market. I only see them games doing better. However, the conversation online seems to be that single-player games are going. Is this just because Call of Duty got rid of single-player, which no one cares about anyway?
I was just about to say, I think people run off with the idea and get a bit carried away. Like, just because Call of Duty got rid of their single-player doesn't mean that everything is going to be single-player. There is a market. There's a lot of people out there and the people know that only want single-player stuff. And that's cool. Like that, if they're not going to be like, oh, we won't make anything for all those millions of people that will buy our game. You know what I mean? Like everyone's buying it. The sales figures reflect that. It's not going to die if loads of people keep buying it, which they have been doing for the last forever. So it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's almost like a rhetoric that somebody has come up with, and now we're drastically trying to speak other. I don't understand it. Like the figures, they're all to see. Single player games are going to be around forever. Take somebody like myself that would, if you put a gun to my head, I'd kill off multiplayer games before I kill off single player games. I actually think single player games you get a much better experience. So yeah, I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. I think we could probably answer this. I know Battlefield hasn't come out yet, but someone said, what's your game of the year for 2018? I'm not going to play Battlefield. I'm not going to play Smash Brothers. I don't even think if I did, they would win me over. I think mine may be God of War, I don't think Red Dead is going to grab me at this stage, so I think it's probably God of War, unless I'm forgetting something. Or maybe Mario Tennis Aces. One of the two.
Could you imagine the piss you'd boil if you gave it over? Mario Tennis.
I'll definitely do a video on it, man. Don't you worry. I'll do a top 10 games of the year, number 1 Mario Tennis Aces. But I think one of those, in terms of my enjoyment, but I think probably God of War, yes, if I actually sit down and think about it.
Yeah, I think mine's Ni no Kuni 2. It's still Ni no Kuni 2. So
could Spyro not take that though? Is there not a chance that
no? Spyro is what it intended to be. But it is still the game from 1998 to 2000. You know, it's still that same game, and I love those games. But I don't think I'd ever give them 10 out of 10 as much as I love them. Whereas I would give Ni no Kuni 2 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Varja Warden, what PS1 titles would you have liked to have seen on the PS1 Classic?
Spyro.
Yeah. I would have liked to have seen actual PS1 classics.
Yeah, not just like, what could we get in here to fill it out?
I'm sorry, I only did that because someone got so mad at me last week for saying, you don't know. I was like, dude, I don't care. As long as you're happy, man, that's all that matters. I do like his follow-up question, though. Do you think Rockstar took immersion too far with Red Dead Redemption 2? I mean, I can't wait to hear your opinion on this, Sam, when you've played it. Like, I am so intrigued. I think you and I see those things the same way. I think the answer may be yes, but not in a bad way, which sounds ridiculous. Like, maybe it's too bad for me, but that's the project they set out to make. And I think that kind of gets forgotten about a lot of times when it comes to entertainment projects. That is what they set out to do. And if that's what they set out to do and you like that, it is perfect. Just because it's not for me and I like things that are a bit more watered down and a bit more stripped back and a bit more easy, it is a masterpiece, Red Dead Redemption 2, and I understand the talent they have there and the sheer amount of money they put into it helps, of course, but you still have to have the ideas, and you still need to implement those ideas. So yes, it's too immersive for me, but it is also incredible.
Yeah, I think it's the same for me. Like, there's no such thing as sort of too immersive, really. It's just like, that's probably not for me either. But it's like going into Destiny and saying there's too much shooting. Like, they wanted to go into that and make this, and they did that very well. And yeah, I don't think too immersive is a real thing because everyone praises it because it's so immersive.
No, I agree. It's one of those things you should go and try if you like video games. It's a shame you can't rent games anymore because I understand that sounds nuts, but I think after about a good few hours, you know whether it's going to be for you or not. But I'm really happy it exists. That's the thing. I'm really, really, really happy it exists. I just think Rockstar do things that other people don't do, and yeah, I think that's amazing.
Absolutely.
Do you think that in next gen the digital format is going to take over? Well, no, I ultimately, or maybe actually no. Let me rephrase that. Yes, probably the digital format will take over, but it will be delivered to you through the magic of a hard console. Still, that's I think is a fair way to say I can see evolution, but I don't think we're just going to magically be flying in the cloud all of a sudden constantly.
Yeah, I don't think digital will take over. I think this will always exist because I think people just like physical collectors. There's a reason why vinyl still exists. There's a reason why CDs still exist. Because you'd argue music has already taken over digitally. But you still get CDs and stuff because people like that. People like collecting the physical stuff. But with updates being as long as they are, like 40 gig for Spyro, which didn't really have anything on the disc, and Fallout having 50 gig and Red Dead having 50 like you'd probably just buy a box with a code in it, just have the box, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
something like that.
No, totally.
Which would be fine for me because then I could be like, oh sweet, here's one for my collection, but I don't have to like faff around. It's just download code.
No, 100%. I can see it going that way, and I think making sure you have those options for people in games is really important. And also, you don't want to go too far because then we will lose games. If you don't have physical editions, they do just vanish into dust. That is a real thing that can happen.
Like PSN crashes, that's it.
Yeah, it's true. It's gone. I like this question, but I don't have an answer. Nicholas Mario, is there any hopes for Borderlands 3? If someone put a gun to my head, I would say Gearbox is probably making that right now, given that it's own, in a bad way, but it is one of the few franchises that they have that's still really successful. So I think it would be crazy if they weren't making that.
Yeah, they've hinted like, oh, we're making that game that you think we're making. You know, they've done that all the time. Yeah. So I think it's just that they're making it.
Why does the SNES game Illusions of Gaia get so overlooked? And I'm sorry, Jova, I don't know what that is. Therefore, I've overlooked it. Do you know that?
No,
I don't. Okay, sorry, dude. We've absolutely screwed you over. Barry, do you think MMOs will make a comeback and be as popular as they used to be? I think the world's changed too much. I think when World of Warcraft hit, I think it was lightning in a bottle in terms of where we were with the internet and all those kind of things. I think we've peaked with all of that, and I think now there'll be niches as opposed to sort of mass monsters.
Yeah, I don't know really. I don't know much about MMOs, so
there we go.
I will refrain from answering.
Last question. I'm asking this one just for you, Sam, because you can answer it best. Will we ever see Skate 4 or Getaway 3? Sam hopes so.
We will not. Because when that studio was canned, I think it was just like a session is the closest thing we're getting, which basically was like, let's get Skate and make it.
What's the latest with that? That session.
I follow it on Facebook. I think it's just constantly like through the iterative community feedback process and stuff. So it's all coming, and I'll be sure to keep my eye on it. But I don't want to do any early access launches or anything like that. I'll wait till it comes out fully, if they do early access or whatever. Poor Skate.
It was just.
It's weird because everyone wants it. So or maybe it's just like a niche audience wanted it, and it's not enough to justify putting that much money into it. Maybe
they're always the loudest, though, aren't they? And it makes you think like everybody's involved, like Brexit. Oh, we're going in for fun with Brexit. Right, anyway, we'll draw a line under it there. Thank you very much for joining me and Sam on The Week in Gaming. You can go follow Sam on Twitter at Sam Bishop with 3 P's and a 1. I'm at Simon316 on Instagram at Simon316. YouTube.com/The Miller Report Rules. Oh, people always tweet me going, Miller, are you going to do live stream of games? Yeah, it's on my YouTube channel. You can go watch it right now. I think that's everything. Thank you so much, as always, for supporting me. Patreon.com/Simon316 is how you support all of it with your money, if you'd like to do that. Always helps, makes me I can buy my food easier, too. Sam, thank you, as always, for joining me.
My pleasure, as always.
And we will be back next week. I'm going to say Monday, but who knows with my stupid life. But I will do my best. Take care and goodbye.